so angry you could light a menorah off his forehead. Adam Carolla.
Yeah, get it on. Got to get on a trudge. You're going to get it on. Welcome to the show. Erik Griffin is in studio. We love Erik Griffin. Erik's got shows coming up all over this man's country. Let's see. I don't even know how to pronounce this first one. Benario, New Mexico? Is that all right?
Yes, Quesada Comedy Cantina. It's in a casino in New Mexico.
Ah, that's why.
It's not a New Year's gig, but it's the Friday and Saturday of New Year's.
And La Jolla Comedy Store coming up January 5th through the 7th. ErikGriffin.com is where you go. All right. So much to get into with Erik. First, just a side thing, because everyone in this room, Chris is here, we all like to eat. I think about things that I love and that I never eat.
Oh, like what?
Okay, I have a couple hypotheses.
Okay.
One is I think most Americans, including myself, probably eat 10 turkey sandwiches for every one egg salad that I eat, but I like egg salad better. I just rarely eat an egg salad sandwich. I think that's a physical thing. It doesn't stay in the bread. It falls and flops out. I even like gilding the lily with egg salad on toasted egg bread. Ooh. Like an egg on egg crime.
Do it.
Now, I love an egg salad. I'll just never, I never order it.
I think it's the consistency and what it looks like.
Yeah.
I think a turkey sandwich is more aesthetically pleasing.
Much easier to handle, for sure.
Yes, much easier to handle and something about it. But I'm thinking about it. You just made me think like, when's the last time I had an egg salad sandwich? You're right.
It was 32 turkey sandwiches ago.
Yeah.
But
it's easier to eat. It's easier to make a turkey sandwich.
And it's not available everywhere. I get there's a lot of reasons. But I still realize that I do like egg salad sandwiches and never eat them.
It's a superior sandwich.
I
No
agree.
question.
And now here's the next one.
What about tuna, though?
Fish and chips.
Oh, yeah.
I love fish and chips.
Yeah.
I almost never order fish and chips.
Here's the thing, this is why.
50 turkey sandwiches before the fish
Right.
and chips.
Yeah. Well,
Right.
the fish and chips also, I mean, obviously, you have your health concerns. Like,
Sure.
it's fattening, it's bad for you. But the you got to get the egg salad and the fish and chips fresh.
Yes.
You can't get them pre-made. They don't
I get it. You
maintain
can't
well.
go into the Subway and get the egg salad and all that.
Don't go
But
to the
I'm just
7-Eleven,
saying,
yeah.
I'm trying not to get mired in economics or mechanics here. I'm just saying I've never not enjoyed fish and chips and almost never order fish and chips. As a matter of fact, the chip dipped in the tartar may even be better than the ranch. Especially if you get a little ketchup mixed in with that tartar.
I know what it is. Okay, when you go to a place that has fish and chips, there's better stuff on the menu.
Yes.
That's what it is. Because when you go to unless you're going to a fish and chips place, which you don't normally do, and there's not a lot of them, because you don't want necessarily fast food fish and chips. But if you're going to, like, say, a steakhouse,
Yes.
or like a
That's
nice
the problem.
restaurant, you look at that and it's like, well, I'm not going to get fish and chips when I can get a T-bone.
They don't even have fish and chips at the upper end.
Right, that's what I'm
places.
saying. But
Yeah.
if they do it, it might be an appetizer, or it's on the kids' menu.
Right.
Yes.
And that's what it is.
Yeah.
All right.
To that point, I ordered fish and chips at the smokehouse one night, and it was not good.
Oh.
And the best fish and chips, you got to get at an Irish pub. Ireland's 32 over in Van Nuys has the best fish and chips I've ever had.
And that's another thing, too. You're not going to an Irish pub. You know what I mean?
Now,
It's just not a thing.
there's
You're
all-
going, like, if you're going to dinner, you're like, hey, you want to go to dinner? Your first choice is an Irish pub.
I get all of what everyone is saying. I'm saying simply, I enjoy fish and
I
chips,
get it.
and I never order fish and chips.
You do the malt vinegar. I don't even know what to do with
I like
it,
the
but I
malt
put it on
vinegar.
everything.
I
yeah.
like the lemon, the malt vinegar, the tartar sauce. It's all good. And now, the one I thought of in the dessert department.
Uh-oh, here we go.
And this walks a very fine line between dessert and sort of breakfast stuff.
Okay.
Because pancakes aren't considered dessert, but practically they're dessert. You know, I mean, it's flour and sugar and syrup and everything.
Delicious.
The thing that I love that they used to even have a frozen version of that was really good that I probably haven't eaten in 26 years. A Blintz. Blintzes are fucking awesome, and I've never ordered a Blintz. You get the strawberry jelly in there. You
But that's
wave
like
it
a
by.
crepe.
Crepes up there, too.
Yeah.
Crepes, Blintzes. They used to make a frozen Blintz, I think, like microwavable or something. Blintzes are great. No, I've never been out with someone who ordered a Blintz. No. I've never ever heard anyone say I'm in the mood for Blintzes.
Right.
I've never based any restaurant choice on the Blintz.
I don't have a Blintz place.
There's no, but they are awesome.
I think that desserts are kind of like television shows. If you think about the last 30 years, there's three types of shows. It's either going to be a firehouse, it's going to be a hospital, or it's going to be a cop show, right? But maybe I want to see the carpenter guy or the.
Thank you.
There are other occupations.
You know what I mean? There's other occupations that we can see that could be drama around it. So I think that desserts work like that. It's going to be pie.
Yeah.
You know, sherbet, ice cream, and some sort of cake.
Blintz isn't even offered as a dessert.
I don't see Blintz on.
Blintz is basically to breakfast what the Bloody Mary is to drinking in the morning. It's really just dessert for breakfast, but it's called a Blintz, and you can order it for breakfast.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like maybe this is deli. Maybe I need to get to the deli.
Oh, yeah. Oh, well,
more
there you
often.
go. But even when you go to the deli, there's like you go to the deli and you pass that great glass dessert area and they got cookies and all kinds of stuff. You find yourself still going, what kind of cheesecake do you have?
There's better stuff. Yeah,
Yes.
Blintz is like the scone. It's like, you're really going to pay money for this? There's other things that you could buy.
Let me ask you guys something. I'm going to eat with my wife the other night, and we're in West LA, Culver City, Venice, and we go to this place. It was called Beef and Rice. Mm-hmm. Okay, that was the name of the place.
Okay,
and then it said world famous.
Yeah. World famous gets thrown around a lot.
I mean, right?
There should be a sanctioning
so
body.
if I'm in Minnesota and I go, hey, you guys heard of Bean and Rice? And they're like, oh, on Venice? In
Minnesota,
in Culver City?
Sri Lanka. It's the world.
world famous. Yeah.
It's just like there should be some sort of commission that officially makes something world famous. Like, I realize you could just buy a sign and just say world famous.
It's a lot of
yeah.
self-proclaimed.
But it was fine, you know. It wasn't like it was bad, but I just thought, I don't know if this is world famous.
They use it when they're clearly not world. You know, McDonald's doesn't use world famous.
Right.
You know what I mean? And neither does Tavern on the Green or places that are actually world famous don't use it.
K-Rock used it. They still
K-Rock
use it.
Radio, world famous K-Rock. The thing about K-Rock, which started in the 70s in like over a little place in Pasadena, over maybe a dry cleaning place or something like that, they used world famous ironically. Like they did it because you know, like calling a fat guy Stretch. It was like they used it to make fun of themselves because there was no smaller radio station than K-Rock at the time, and their signal was for shit. So you had to be like in the Glendale, Pasadena area.
It was like an
just to hear
AM
it.
station.
Initially it was, yeah. All right, I know you're into sports.
Love sports. Let's do it.
This has to do with sports, but it's sort of tangential, which is I was watching college football a couple of Saturdays ago at a sports bar in Nashville. I think I was watching Oregon play. And I noticed there's two things I noticed. I noticed it in pros and in college. A lot of guys have the mouthpiece. The mouthpiece is just dangling from the front of the helmet. I don't see it in their mouth. Like when you watch a guy do a pick six in the NFL, the mouthpiece is just a counterweight, just slapping. It's called unsprung weight. It's just pulling and rocking. So, like, when I played football, they had a rule. You had to have your mouthpiece in your mouth. It's a big deal. Like, here's interesting. In terms of being concussed, you have a much better chance if you're biting down on a mouthpiece than biting down on the teeth above and below. Like,
To get a concussion?
No, do not get a
Do not
concussion.
get, okay.
Right. Like boxers, there's a type of mouthpiece that helps a lot in terms of being concussed, right? So you would think these guys don't want to be concussed, and you would think the league, which is nuts about concussions and protocols and everything else, would require them to keep the mouthpiece in their mouth, but they don't. It's dangling from the front of their helmet, and you can watch almost any play. You'll see like the wide out will be split wide. The corner will be in his position, shading him to the inside, playing up on the line, and both their mouthpieces are just hanging when the ball is snapped. So then the next question is, why do you even have a mouthpiece? Like if it's just going to be swinging from the front of your helmet, why? There's evidently no rule that says you must have your mouthpiece in.
Right.
And you certainly don't use it because I've just watched you do 5 plays in a row with the thing swinging around. So why is it even on the helmet in the first place? And in college especially, the mouthpieces are different colors, different than the team colors. I'm watching Oregon, and I'm seeing a guy out there in a red mouthpiece. There's no red on the Oregon Ducks.
Very distinctive.
See, I think Byron found a picture or
This tells
or
me
two of this.
This tells me how boring college football must be.
Now, I'm the only one who notices.
Okay. The minutia of it.
I go nuts. Here's Mizzou. All right.
I think that they
hot
have
pink mouthpiece on a yellow and black uniform with no other hot pink represented on that uniform.
that could be the breast cancer awareness mouthpiece.
All right.
It's not. It's not because they were playing this. This was we saw this 2 weeks ago.
Yes, they're past this.
Sometimes they're lime green.
Yeah, they're just that. Look, pick a color that is represented on the jersey. That's what I'm saying.
Maybe there's a rule that it has to be a different color so they know that they have a mouthpiece.
No, because some are the same colors as the team. So like some guys will do it. So it's almost as if they're using them to be individualistic from the team, right?
I
Like
think they're
it
required.
gives your own
I think they're
steez.
required to have a mouthpiece, but it doesn't necessarily mean they're required to wear it all the time.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Right
and
there.
I think that the rules in football have changed so significantly. I think back in your day, the football was way more violent. So it was like you must wear this mouthpiece and now that the rules are so, I don't know if people are getting as concussed as they were before.
Oh, they're getting concussed. Well, they're very concerned about concussions. Mm-hmm. And if you're the NFL, do you have any Oregon Ducks pictures, which is what we're asking for, Byron? Sorry. Or any other pictures of crazy mouthpiece we can look at? There's Seattle.
It could be a company too that's their color, and that's how they're going to do their advertisement.
But anyway, it's another Seattle with a fuchsia color. There's
but
there's the Colts where the guy just has the fake grill in there. Where's Oregon? That's my question because that's the thing.
Well, at least that guy has it in. He's wearing it. I think running backs wear it.
Running backs wear it. I would say wearing a mouthpiece helps in terms of being concussed. I would say they are going nuts with all the rules about helmet to helmet and protocols and not coming, waiting. If you are concussed, you have to spend 2 weeks out and so on and so forth. I would just think that they would be more aggressive about saying you have to have your mouthpiece in your mouth when the play starts.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, for me, I think it's kind of nasty. You're playing. If I'm playing defense on you, and I'm this close to you, and your mouthpiece is just dangling,
and it's all full of slobber.
Just slob all over it.
Yeah,
and you're running, and it's just slobbery. I don't know. Well, it looks like a lot of these people are wearing their mouthpiece. I need to see some more pictures.
Where's my Oregon?
I think it is a company that there's a company, and that's their colors. The green is one company, maybe the pink is another company, and that's how they.
All right, here I'm saying they have black ones. Okay, I'm the commissioner.
Okay,
here's the deal. Just like a pitcher in Major League can't go up there with an orange glove. The pitcher, there's rules.
Gotcha.
You saying like it's called a uniform. You're allowed to have a black one, and that'll apply to any uniform. But if you're going to pick a color, the color has to be represented of your jersey and your team and your team's
like
colors.
that should be orange.
Which
like that.
doesn't seem that tall an order. It just
talking
doesn't
to-
seem that difficult.
When we were in Nashville, I was talking to Whitlock about this, and he says it's akin to like baseball players with their gold chains. You can just do.
So it's
Whatever
sort of
kind
a.
Jason Whitlock?
Yeah.
I love that guy.
It's kind of a. He's great. I mean, is it sort of a. God, who wore their? What was that rap group who wore their pants backwards?
Crisscross.
Crisscross? Are they just kind of making a statement? That's
But
what I'm
football
saying.
has a lot of rules. Like you can't wear certain color shoes. You get fined.
You do, yeah.
And socks,
They
you get
took the
fined. So
fines,
maybe
yeah.
they're getting fined for that. We just don't know about it. They're making so much money. They're just like, all right, whatever.
That's what you
I'll
want
pay
to
the
find
fine.
But first off, we're looking at college half the time. I
Oh,
mean,
right.
Oregon
But yeah, they're getting paid too, though, man.
Oregon Ducks, if that team was getting fined, then someone would tell the DB to switch out that mouthpiece.
Yeah,
All right.
I don't
Where's
think
my
they're getting
Oregon Ducks?
Yeah, you just is like, man, you're looking at the game. Imagine being distracted by that.
It's bothering the shit out of me because
It bothers me.
they have an equipment manager.
Yeah, I get it, I get
They
it.
shouldn't even be responsible for their own
I
mouthpieces.
saw one player. I don't think it was the Oregon game. He had even like a message written on the long dangly part.
None of that.
Maybe this is
called
just
the
an-
uniform.
Maybe this is just an oversight by the commission, and then maybe they're seeing it now. And they're gonna be like, all right, next year your mouthpiece has got to be a certain color.
They're gonna crack down. Yeah, this
Yeah.
may be a loophole.
It's
right
a
now that they've
loophole,
got.
I think, because it's like it's not really it's a personal equipment that you need to have.
It's like the people who are in their graduating. They put a weird message on top of their cap.
Yeah, I don't like it. It's got to match the uniform. It can either be a neutral black or it can be something, one of two colors that is represented in your uniform. It cannot be a third color that doesn't exist in your uniform.
Yeah, but now
that's all.
But now you're talking about you have to get these specifically made. How many are you going to make?
What do you mean?
It's the cost.
Everybody gets a black one.
No, but
That's how it works.
But I'm talking about with the color ones. Now you got to go and be like, hey, company, make me 500 of these. For my team.
All unnecessary.
Yeah, I saw the Harvard wrestling team during my layover in Denver last week, and they obviously they weren't wrestling at the time, but they were all wearing the exact same thing, the same backpack, same shoes
At the airport.
at the airport.
Yeah, when they travel.
That's how
I
they
see that
should
a
be.
lot, too. Yeah.
All right. Where's Oregon?
You don't want to get them lost.
All right. No. What happened? Didn't we ask for Oregon at the
I
time?
I mean, it may not be readily available on.
All right.
Well, here's a white mouthpiece.
Yeah, still not
Well, it's kind of the
represented.
color, yeah.
Not represented in the colors of the team. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, but
It's
if you have
called a
white
uniform.
if you have white socks, you can
All
have
right.
a white
Well, he picked a
mouthpiece.
shit picture, so I guess we're done with whatever game from 2 weeks ago where I was seeing it left and right. But all right. All right. I'm distracted, but I'm ready to move forward.
Let's move forward.
All right. So there's this whole kerfuffle in Congress with the presidents of Harvard and UPenn and MIT all represented,
thing,
and then
yeah.
they got raked over the coals and everything else. And I've figured out the dynamic as to what happened because the problem is people are saying, well, they brought these women up and then Stefanik grilled them and then they were sort of combative with their answers. And now one of them got fired. And I've explained a million times, we are now in a new world order. I think the one who apologized, who issued the video apology, then got fired like the next day.
Really?
Apologizing doesn't work anymore. That's from a 80s, 90s publicist playbook. Just walk it back and we'll turn the page.
Yeah. She resigned, by the way.
Yeah, all because she was going to get fired.
Yeah.
So they were going to take a vote the next day. But the point is the best strategy is no strategy. Don't say a thing. Just don't offer the apology. The apology just reminds everybody.
Even after this, though, you don't want them to say anything after.
Then everyone goes, "Oh, you're apologizing? You got to ask 6 times the same question 7 different ways, and you said no each time. How is this? You've had a change of heart about this 48 hours ago. You were just pressured to apologize, and now we look at you as a bad person and a hypocrite."
You need to start a PR company.
I should. All right, we put together a little tape just to
This is the little recap.
the grilling, just to remind everybody.
It's not this one. It's the one we transferred you.
Just to remind everyone what it was.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. These places of higher learning, You think about Harvard. Harvard was the place, for like 40 years, you would think like the smartest people in the world came from Harvard.
Everyone thought that,
Yeah.
but they've sort of pulled the curtain back, and now
Yeah.
we've seen the little man who's the Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, exactly.
All
This
right.
is it. Sorry. Okay, here we go.
Here we go.
Dr. Kornbluth, at MIT, does calling for the genocide of Jews violate MIT's code of conduct or rules regarding bullying and harassment? Yes or no?
If targeted at individuals, not making public statements. I've heard chants, which can be anti-Semitic depending on the context, when calling for the elimination of the Jewish people. That would be investigated as harassment if pervasive and severe.
Ms. McGill, at Penn, does calling for the genocide of Jews violate Penn's rules or code of conduct? Yes or no?
If it is directed and severe or pervasive, it is harassment.
So the answer is yes.
It is a context-dependent decision, Congresswoman.
It's a context-dependent decision. That's your testimony today. Calling for the genocide of Jews is depending upon the context. So is your testimony that you will not answer yes?
If it if the
Yes
speech
or no?
if the speech becomes conduct, it can be harassment.
Wait,
And
you gotta
Dr.
pause it
Gay.
there. If
Oh,
the
yeah.
speech
I was
becomes-
about
if
to
you're
say.
saying kill the Jews, well, yeah, but if you actually kill Jews,
they
then
do
it
it.
can cross a threshold into discipline. Like if
this
the
is
speech
this is
becomes
ridiculous.
conduct, that's an insane response.
I'm baffled right now. That is absolutely the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard.
Well,
you know what
I'll
I mean?
explain the phenomenon.
I mean, how? Like, this lady should be fired.
This is the one that resigned.
She resigned.
Yeah, please resign. Like, what kind of stupid answer is that? If okay, so that means she basically just said you can have a rally, and at the rally you could be like, eliminate the Jews, and then that's okay until you get in the van and head towards someplace to actually eliminate Jews.
Yes.
What?
No, if you said you had a rally said lynch the blacks, that would be fine.
Right,
unless you lynched a black,
right.
and then it
Yeah.
might
Yeah.
fit the requirements of a hate crime.
Yeah,
Like,
but you can go buy the rope. You can
Right.
go, rent a hall that you're going to do it. But until there's actually blacks in there,
We will investigate
We'll
after that.
investigate. Like, man, like crazy talk. That's crazy.
well, run it back 20 seconds just so we can hear her say it
Unbelievable.
one more time. Which is awesome.
Dependent decision, Congresswoman.
It's a context-dependent decision. That's your testimony today. Calling for the genocide of Jews is depending upon the context. So is your testimony that you will not answer yes?
If it if the
Yes
speech
or no?
becomes if the speech becomes conduct, it can be harassment.
Can.
And Dr. Gay,
Stop
at
again,
Harvard,
please. So she's saying that there's still even leeway
Right.
that it can become a harassment.
And she's being very careful. with her words.
harassment.
It's crazy.
Right.
That's what it is, harassment. So even if they're actually on their way to perform genocide on Jews, there's still some leeway in what you're going to call that. Like, it's like, you know what the problem is here is people have two personas. They have this sort of online public persona of I have to pretend to be a good person. And then they have a persona of who you are in your private group chat with your friends. And I think we need to live someplace in the middle there.
Mm-hmm. All right, we have a little bit more, and then I'll give you the dynamic.
Please. So sorry, but this is like so infuriating.
If it if the
Yes
speech
or no?
becomes if the speech becomes conduct, it can be harassment.
and Dr. Gay, at Harvard, does calling for the genocide of Jews violate Harvard's rules of bullying and harassment? Yes or no?
It can be, depending on the context.
What's the context?
Said the same thing.
Targeted
right?
as an individual, targeted at an individual.
It's
severe,
targeted at
pervasive.
Jewish students, Jewish individuals. So the answer is yes, that calling for the genocide of Jews violates Harvard Code of Conduct, correct?
Again, it depends on the context.
It does not depend on the context.
Okay. All right, so now let me tell you what just went on. What just went on was not three very well-educated middle-aged women thinking or condoning it was a good idea to commit genocide on Jews. That wasn't that. This is women arguing with women. Elise Stefanik.
So that was The View right there?
That was The View. Well, that was The View when
that was Whoopi, Barbara Walters. And,
when they had opposing viewpoints.
Well, that was The View when they didn't root out the ones who disagreed with them.
Right.
So
you're right.
what happens is Elise Stefanik is a woman. Now, see, and she's a Republican. And those three women are clearly progressive Democrats. Yeah. And they weren't going to let that bitch put words in their mouth. So, first off, they all gave the same answer, which meant they all kind of were working off each other. But it was basically like a cop was interrogating a criminal and they weren't given answers. But that was a female on female battle. That had nothing to do with facts or Jews. That was, I'm not going to be hauled in front of this bitch who makes $130,000 a year and have her put words in my mouth, and I'm not going to agree with her. That was a disagreement. That was someone. If Elise Stefanik had said, can you just admit that the sky is blue? They'd go, well,
in context.
There's many other variations and many shades of blue. Like they were going, bitch, you ain't telling me what to say. I didn't come in here to dance for you.
So it could have been about anything.
It could have been about anything, and it was politically driven. If Elise Stefanik was a black female Democrat and couched the same way, they would have went, I agree. Of course, you can't. They would have agreed with her. But their whole thing is, I'm not going to agree with anything this bitch says, and I'm not going to let her bully me, and I'm not going to let her put words in my mouth. And even the one who, I think it was gay from Harvard, one of them just said, look, I'm sorry, I got caught up in a battle.
I have her statement to the Harvard Crimson.
Oh, you have it?
Yeah.
Right.
She says, I am sorry, words matter. I got caught up in what had become at that point an extended combative exchange about policies and procedures.
Right. So they may be scholars and they may be presidents of the biggest universities in the world, but they're women first. They're women first, and that was chick-on-chick battle right there.
You know what we saw? We saw a private group chat public.
Oh,
yes.
this is
and
you know what I'm saying?
chat.
Also, anyone
they were in their text like, bitch, you don't tell me.
anyone who's ever argued with a woman knows that that's how it works. They're never going to go, you're right.
You're right.
I was wrong. We should have done. They're basically having somebody they hate say what I'm saying is right. Tell me it's right. And they go, nope, I'm going to use every ounce of word salad to disagree.
But they must have looked at this footage or they went back to the people who are like in charge and they were like, what the hell did you just do? Like, what's worse?
Right.
That they believe that nonsense or that he's right about this exchange?
They can't believe it.
I don't
what
think
I'm
they
saying is
believe it.
both are it's idiotic.
I'm saying you can get a woman to argue against something she believes in once she's engaged with the argument because she just wants to beat you. That's how it works. And I think if you went back and looked at film of any argument you've ever had with your wife, she'd probably feel bad and someone would tell her to resign.
Let me tell you let me tell you one with my wife. I know when I won an argument when she goes like this. You're yelling at me, you know. When they start going to what you or how you're arguing, you won already.
Yes,
Right.
Yeah,
You're
you've already
running
won.
out of stuff.
Yeah, because now it's like we're gonna like let's pivot.
Well, the other tell that you won an argument with anyone is, you know, they'll go, there's a woman argument, but dudes will do this too. Like you'll go, hey, I came home after being on the road pretty late last night, and the garage door was open. I told you got to close that garage door. It's a security thing, And they go, I didn't leave the garage door open. And you go, you didn't leave the garage? I didn't. I left 2 days ago. I didn't leave it. Well, it must have been, the garden or something. You go, and then at some point you go, well, look, I got Ring doorbell footage of you. And they go, this is the one they go, when did you become obsessed with the garage door? Right? It's like, yeah. No, I'm not obsessed with garage door.
Columbo.
Not even about the garage door.
No,
anymore.
it's about security and who left it open, not an obsession with rolling doors.
That's him. He's saying, one more thing. So
Yeah.
here's the Ring footage of your.
Yes. So
Well, anyway,
that was is I will bet that most of those presidents, when they left the congressional hearing, probably were like, yeah, well, what's wrong with that? And people were coming up to them because
Their texts are blowing up.
When you're in argument mode, you're just in. They weren't in. I hate the Jews or I think genocide is good. They were in bitch. Don't tell me what to say mode,
But
and they were all arguing.
Adam, I have to say this. I would have preferred that. I would have preferred them ladies say, hey, you need to talk to me differently. All right? I would have said, I don't like your tone right now, okay? I would have preferred that. I would have preferred these three women use their intelligence that got them to be the presidents of these, colleges, use that intelligence in that moment right now, because that shit that they just said right there is stupid.
Well, like I said,
Stupid.
all out the window once the again, politician second, president of Harvard second, woman first. That was a woman-on-woman crime. And if it was done by a Democratic woman who was asking in a different way, we would have gotten a completely different answer. That's what happened. All right, I got other things to get into with Eric. We'll take a quick break. Come right back after this. BetterHelp. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Not every family or community does gifts this time of year. And whether or not your family does gifts during the holidays, you should give a gift to yourself. That's where BetterHelp comes in. Whether it's by starting therapy or just treating yourself to a day of rest. Give yourself some love this holiday season. I love therapy. I feel it's so important. It really changes the direction of your life. And if you're thinking about starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, convenient, and it's flexible as well. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. So take care of yourself this year with BetterHelp. Right, Dawson?
In the season of giving, give yourself what you need with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/Carolla today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Carolla.
But you can't have a fat Jesus. Fat Jesus would change the whole story. Imagine you put 250 pounds on any story, it's gonna be different, imagine the logistics of trying to get fat Jesus on the cross. You gotta have a rope and pulley system. They're trying to nail him, he's sliding down. All the miracles will be different. He's walking on water, waist deep, I'm your Lord. The Last Supper be a buffet, you know what I mean? Judas would be at the buffet going, really, Jesus? That's a lot of ranch you putting on that lamb.
Erik Griffin is on the Adam Carolla Show.
I saw something sad at the McCarran Airport a couple of days back in Vegas. I hate dogs in an airport. I hate people traveling with their dogs. Yeah. I hate it not because I hate dogs. I believe it's emblematic of our country narcissism and us going down the gutter. So I use it as a metaphor for America.
Got it.
Not so much that I'm allergic to dogs or hate dogs or anything like that. But I passed something I'd never seen before at the airport. Was a oversized vending machine dedicated to dog treats and toys.
Oh.
Dog treats and toys, which means it is on. because your dog doesn't know you left town like your kids. You don't have to bring him a snow globe of San Francisco, The dog's not disappointed when you come home empty-handed. He's just happy you come home, But this means my dog is at the airport and I got to get treats for the dog or a collar or leash. They had everything in a doggy vending machine.
I wish I would have known you were talking about this because I have a picture of a dog that was sitting in front of me, and it was a ginormous pit bull. That this woman, it was her
On the plane.
On the plane, this was her support animal,
Mm-hmm.
and she had an attitude about it too.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, are you kidding? This is like, it was like a support lion. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like really? Like maybe you shouldn't travel. If you need a 175-pound dog to do anything in public, maybe you shouldn't be in public. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's like that's a ridiculous sized dog to just be out. And then the lady was like, "Well, you can't sit in the emergency exit." And the lady was like, "Well, this is my support." Like, get what? No.
And then it's supposed to calm your anxiety. You're giving anxiety to all.
Everyone has anxiety now because they're looking at this dog. Like everybody's taking a picture too because it was like, this is a ginormous dog. I'm gonna try to find it while you guys are talking because I have a picture.
I had a dog at LAX lay down a stripe of diarrhea that was like 35 feet long.
Impressive.
And the woman who had the dog just kept moving forward while the dog was just dropping all the way streaks of dog poo. And then I saw people wheeling their luggage through the dog shit, which has to be confusing at some point when they load the shit up into their car and then they're like, who farted in this Uber? And it's like, nope, that's your luggage wheeled through the dog.
No. And no one had the guts to just say, hello, your dog, you know?
Yeah, I showed up too late. I just saw her back and the trail of dog Duke.
Because, I get people in my neighborhood I've seen who, while they're waiting for their dog to complete their business, are looking around like, if nobody's here, I'm walking. I'm not picking this up.
I have a theory about people and stuff they don't want to do. They're not necessarily liars. They just get really stupid really fast, where they go, I didn't, right? Like everybody I've ever lent money to who's never paid me back thinks they paid me back. Like, I didn't pay you back? Didn't I pay you back? Like, how fucking dumb are you? Yeah.
You would know.
You would know if you paid me back. You don't know, but you don't want to say, no, I'm a bad person or I'm weak or I have low character. So you go, I didn't pay you back that thing? Oh. And here's how, by the way, they know because they agree to do it, which is if you said to me, if Eric said to me, I lent you $1,000 a couple months back, you never paid me back. And I went, I thought I paid you back. If you went, no, you didn't, I wouldn't go, let me get my checkbook. I'd go, I got to talk to my accountant because I do think I paid you back. Like I thought.
Check your account. See if I'm pretty sure.
I thought I paid you back, but yet all you have to do is just go, nope. And I go, okay, that means I don't think I paid you back.
It's a little too easy.
Right. But here's the thing though. At that point, when somebody continues, because I've had this, I'm the commissioner of my fantasy football league.
Okay. Oh, here we go.
All right, so you're
gotta pay your dues.
You got to collect money from people. There was this one guy that used to be in our league, and he was like, he was like, something's. I said, man, where's the money? He said, yeah, something's wrong with PayPal. And I said, I went like this. All right, let me get on the phone for you. You know what I mean? Because I know, it's like sometimes you catch people in this dumb lie. And for me, I want to let me see how far
you're
gonna go with it.
Right.
So like in that situation, I'm like, oh, you want to check your account? All right, let's go. Okay, yeah, call your accountant right now. Wait,
Right.
go call your accountant.
Three-way call.
Let's see. You got the check number. What is it? You know what I mean? It's like, come on. Especially in this day and age. This day and age is you pull up your phone.
Right.
And you can just look up, you go to open your bank thing, put the number, put 1,000, and then all the 1,000 transactions will come up if you have that many, be like, okay, so when is it? It's like, stop.
Call their bluff.
Now, in terms of what we're talking about, in terms of dogs, I can't stand this. Don't act new. Your dog is pooping someplace, and you're like, I don't even have my.
Right.
There's no bags.
Oh,
It's like,
yeah.
Sure.
My dog has taken
your
shit.
your dog's never shit ever.
Yeah.
Like you know what you're supposed to do. I hate that.
Yes, I hate that.
I just stop acting new. Stop acting new. Okay.
I agree.
Amen.
Take care of your. Oh, God. It's just. You know what it really. You know what the thing is? Is like, we don't like stupid. No one does. No one likes when people act like out of character of like just societal norms. Okay, there are things we all accept, and when you go outside of that, everyone has a reaction of like, "What are you doing?" And that's what happened. Even in something like that, Harvard, all that stuff. That's a situation where everyone's like, "Wait, what?" You see a dog, you're like, "What? You owe me money?" You're like, you owe me money. What are you talking about? Everybody hates that sort of like, that next step of just being like.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you the other.
And inconsiderate too. When people are inconsiderate, oof.
There's a tell. There's another tell, which I bring up periodically, which means the person did you wrong, but is lying about it. I let somebody film an independent movie at my house once. And then when I showed up, I had this big area rug, and it was like moved and rolled up and like in the corner. They never put the shit back, right? Mm-hmm. So then I go take the rug, and it's a brand new rug, and I flop it open. It's got a huge tear right down the middle of it, just wide open, 5-foot tear right down the middle of the thing. So I called the guys, and I go, "Hey, when you move my carpet or something, obviously you tore the rug somehow. It was brand new. It was fine. It was just laying in place, and now it's got a big tear down the middle of it." And they go, "We didn't do that." And I go, "Yeah, you did, because it was fine when I left, and then when you guys left, it had a big tear." "Yeah, well, we didn't tear it." And I go, "Well, it's torn, and I didn't touch it." And they go, "Fine, we'll split the cost of the." And that's like, okay, you're going to split the cost for something you didn't do? You're now admitting you did it. That's what I'm saying. When people do they go, "Oh, you dented my bumper. Whose fault was it?" "Oh, well, I think it was your fault, but fine, I'll split the cost." No. If somebody just backed into you, you wouldn't split the cost of the fender work, right? You'd go, "Fuck you, you backed into me. I didn't do anything wrong." Splitting the cost is the admittance of guilt as well.
And you know what? Ooh, I'm so furious. This wasn't even I'm furious about this situation because not only did they know they tore it, but they decided to wrap the rug up and leave it. That's what you did when you were 13 and you broke a lamp.
That's right. That's what they did in the Brady Bunch.
Yeah, you broke a
Mama's
lamp.
Vase.
Yeah, you just like I was an only child.
Oh,
so
right.
like I had like there was a I remember breaking a lamp and looking at it for like 25 minutes and thinking, what am I gonna do? So what I did was I just left it. And then when my mom came home, she was like, "Erik!" And I came running in like this. "Oh my God, what happened?" What did you do? Did you, because I was like, what are you supposed to do? So it's like that's infuriating.
Yeah, you know what? I realize I've never really thought about it, but the breaking of the lamp wasn't really the crime. It's how the lamp got broke. Because your mom told you a million times not to throw the ball in the house.
Exactly.
And that's how you broke the lamp. Somebody needs to occasionally break a lamp doing homework.
Yes.
Like, I was writing so feverishly that my arm slipped off the pad and it hit the lamp and I broke the lamp. Because if your mom came home and there was a broken lamp and she went, "Was it you doing homework again too vigorously?" She couldn't be pissed. But the only way the lamp breaks is you're throwing a ball, you're wrestling, you're playing grab ass, you're doing something she told you not to do inside 200,000 times.
Or you have to get a piece of the broken lamp and just cut above your eye.
Oh, intruder.
And you got to be like, I walked and I tripped and fell and look what happened. You know what I mean?
A couple other subjects to get into. I went to Seth MacFarlane's Christmas party over the weekend, which was not held at his house, but at the Design Center in West LA, the Blue Whale.
You got a venue.
They used to call it. Maybe
We
they
didn't want
still
somebody
call
messing
it
with his rugs.
the Blue Whale. I tried to film the orchestra and then turned my camera sideways and got it all cattywampus. But I love the notion of an orchestra. He had about an 80-piece orchestra playing there. I mean, 80. I say 80. It could have been 75, but it could have been 85 too. I mean, I'll let you guys listen. I think it's the Bond theme.
It's just one of those jobs that I don't get. I really don't get, because there's even something in your mind that like you're telling yourself, is it a beat thing?
Yeah.
Because then I would understand.
I'm always trying to figure out what he's doing.
It's never even on beat. I just need.
No.
I need someone to explain to me what the conductor is actually doing. Like, what is it? Just give me like in a paragraph. Why? And I never see any like. I don't see anyone in that orchestra looking at that conductor.
No.
They're looking at their music. They're listening. You know, it's like, what is that guy doing? And they get so much praise.
You know, it's like sometimes when you travel or even here in town, you come across the like road construction and they have the chick just leaning against the sign that says slow. You know, and you're like, could we get a Christmas tree stand and replace this bitch?
Yeah,
She's
but
just leaning on a sign that says slow.
still makes sense though.
But we don't really need her, is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
but
okay.
yes, and he would probably not like that comparison if I spoke to the conductor.
I can confirm.
No, the comparison would be, the sign doesn't say slow. It just says like, you know, swallow your food or something. Like, you know, it says something like, you know, chew vigorously when you eat. And you're like, what? Do we need this on the side of the road? It would be more like that. I mean, this is, I just need. Look, there might be a great explanation, and somebody will be like,
"Oh, there is."
Yeah, and I'll be
but
like,
not for me.
"Oh," but I don't think we're gonna.
The
figure that out
aficionados would tell you, and Seth would probably tell you.
of course.
But he was.
Did he sing?
Oh yeah, he sung. Tiffany Haddish sung a number. It was. I just love the orchestra. I loved it. I loved looking out. I saw diversity. I saw 2 black guys, all right, but still some diversity, some young and some old, a few Asians in there.
You go to Hollywood Bowl?
I love all that stuff.
Yeah.
I just love it. And also they were doing a lot of themes to, you know, Star Wars and all that kind of stuff, and you realize how spectacular all those symphonies
It just sounds so rich.
It's so rich. And then it also makes me realize that, and I always think about this, like when I met, you know, the reason to become successful. Seth MacFarlane is, you know, being rich and successful for him is great, but it wouldn't be great if he went full Howard Hughes, you know, locked himself in an editing bay and collected his own urine, you know?
Right.
He's taking his $1 million and he's saying, here's what I would do if I had $1 million. And I'm going to have a full orchestra at my Christmas party, and I'm going to get up and sing with them. And it's like, you know, Jimmy Kimmel, he's going to go fly fishing with Huey Lewis. When I met him when he was 26, he loved Huey Lewis, but he never met Huey Lewis, and Huey Lewis didn't care about Jimmy Kimmel. We saw Huey Lewis, me and Jimmy, when he was like 26, 27 at the House of Blues. We didn't go backstage or anything. We just general admission, standing in the audience, and left. Now he's going to go fly fishing with Huey Lewis, who's the nicest guy in the world. But that's the whole point. If you're going to make money, live out those dreams. You know what I mean? Now I don't think
I like it.
I don't think Seth likes Huey Lewis, but that's not.
That's not
I
his
couldn't imagine by that orchestration that he does.
I can see that being a
But
thing.
that's not his dream.
25 years ago, I see him being like, one day I'm going to have a Christmas party at a place, and I'm going to have a 80-piece orchestra. I'm going to sing, and all my Hollywood friends are going to come and enjoy themselves.
Yeah.
It's a nice dream.
What's your version of that then? You've made money in your day. I mean,
You know, like going to Europe and doing a car race or something like that. I like mechanical shit. So for me, I mean, there's an element of
You're like Tony Stark, huh?
yeah, like hanging out with Huey Lewis at Jimmy's, you know, Christmas party is fun, and seeing people you recognize, like a guy I've never interviewed, but I've always been a big fan of his work was Jason Segel. I ran into when I was walking in. And he passed me, and I said, hey. And he went, oh, hey, you. And I said, hey, man, I'm a big fan of your work. And he went, I'm a big fan of your work, too. And then we said hi, and then we left. And then I thought, he's a big fan of. And I went, no, he just said that because I just said it. He just fired it back. You have to, if you recognize the other person was on TV or something from somewhere, and they say, you know, if Jeffrey Epstein said to me, I'm a big fan of your work, I'd go, I'm a big fan of your work, bro. You just have to do it.
Yeah, you can't follow up Jason's comment with, "Oh, you're a big fan of my work." Like what?
Oh, well, by the way,
you can't do
which
that.
is rude and disrespectful. Like, I don't know what the hell you do.
No, if a civilian comes up to you and says, "I'm a big fan of your work," you can go, "Thanks, man." But if you recognize that person, even if you don't know, but you know they're somebody from something, then you just say, "I'm a big fan of your work."
Or how about when you don't remember someone's name? I think it's rude when people do that. When you go, "Hey," and they go, "Hey, do you remember me?" You go, "Yeah, how are you?" Then they go, "What's my name?" That's an asshole.
That's an asshole. Absolutely.
Yes, I'm already. I don't know. I'm sorry. Okay, let's not make this worse.
Yeah, I just got into this. I hate it. It drives me nuts. Happened to me in Sacramento.
Yeah,
coming up. You remember me?
No.
No, I hate it, and but it also made me realize that it's great when somebody has a handle or a title like doctor. So if you have a handle like professor, doctor, or something like that, then I went to Fast and Furious Chris Morgan's party before Seth. And
Same day?
Same day.
Wow.
And he has a best friend who's a doctor. And he's the greatest guy in the world. And I must have talked to this guy for combined 17 hours over the last 4 years. And I fucking couldn't remember his name. But I walk up, "Hey, Doc." Because I know he's the doctor.
Right.
And that's good with him.
That's fair.
We're
Yeah.
done. You get the title.
That's fair.
Yeah. And I think priests get that.
Yeah. Father.
Yeah, you never have to remember the guy's name if you have the title.
When's the last time you talked to a priest?
It's been a long time.
It's been a long time for me. I have a friend. One of my friends from high school became a priest, and I haven't talked to him in 35 years, maybe longer.
Just because he molested you, or just you guys drifted apart?
No, we just drifted apart.
Oh, okay. All right. Let's take. I'm also, speaking of cars, I'm going later on today to see a press preview of the Ferrari movie. The Michael Mann Ferrari movie, and I'm pretty damn pumped about that.
I just got a Lucid, by the way.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I got a Lucid.
How do you
Air
like
Touring.
it?
I love it.
The all-electric car.
Yes. By the way, last time I was here, I put money down to get a Fisker Ocean.
Oh, that's right.
Okay, I gotta say that I was gonna get a Fisker Ocean. All on the website and everything, they talk about, you can lease. Mm-hmm. They're talking about their lease program that's coming up. I'm on the finish line to get this car that I put $5,000 on, a year ago.
I think I paid that back to you, but go ahead.
Yeah, and then they said, "Oh no, you have to buy it." And I was like, I didn't want to do that. I did not want to buy the first edition of this car that's going to lose all of its value in 2-3 years because the new car, whatever's going to come out, and this company I'm not sure about. So, I asked about it. I said, I thought you could lease. And then, they were saying, "Well, we're sorry." And so they stole money from me.
Oh, they
never got it back.
I never got my $5,000 back.
Think they paid.
And then I just they were like, "Let me check my account." No, and then I said, "You know what? I wanted a Lucid 4 years ago when I got this Jag I got, and I was like, you know what? I want to get. They have a great lease program, so I went with Lucid. But I ate the $5,000.
Usually, companies, it's a refundable deposit just to be put on the waiting list.
Not this company. No, it's really like really. And then what really ticked me off too is when I got somebody on the phone. So I initially put down $250. You got your placement, and that's refundable, right? And so then supposedly, and then it was like, the guy's on the phone with me. Yeah, that $52.50 is not. You can't get it back. So he was gonna also steal my $250. But luckily, I went onto the app and I was like, cancel reservation. And then on the app, it's like, oh, okay, we're refunding your $250. And I'm like thinking to myself, so you don't even know as a person running the damn company that that's a thing. It's so
maybe
frustrating.
They know it, but the certain percentage of people they can keep the money.
Yeah, well, I feel like that's a terrible way to do business.
Yeah,
they should give me my damn $5,000 back. I was under the impression you could lease the car, and then a year later I have to buy it. So, but you know what? I was like, it was a year ago. I dropped the money. I don't feel that I wasn't thinking about it, and I needed the peace of mind. I'm at an age now where quality of life and peace of mind is more important than saving some bucks.
You got. So you got the Lucid.
I got an Air Touring.
Yeah, they're beautiful. They're probably the best looking fully electric kind of off-brand
I got a white one.
car. Beautiful. And I've interviewed Heinrich Fisker.
Henrik?
Heinrich?
Yeah, that's his name.
Fisker. And I never thought about it, but his name is Mr. Fisker, which is, I would assume, I would make everyone call me Mr. Fisker if I worked if I worked in that environment. My last name is Fisker. It sounds like a 80s man. All right, we'll take a break. We'll come back and we'll do some news right after this. Viator experiences are what people love most about travel. I mean, God, taking my son fishing in Alaska, that was so amazing. I'll never forget it. Viator, it's a website and app for booking travel experiences, like seeing Stonehenge or a walking tour of Rome. Over 300,000 bookable experiences in 190 countries. Millions of real travelers' reviews. So you have the information you need to book the best activities for your trip. With Viator, there's always flexibility and support with free cancellation, payment options, and 24/7 service. So let's get out there and experience life, shall we? Download the Viator app now and use the code Viator10 for 10% off your first booking in the app. One app, over 300,000 travel experiences you won't forget. Do more with Viator.
He's dreaming of some white privilege, just like the HuffPost said he had. In popcorn tins he was pissing. As a child he would listen to his mom shout, freak out in locked rooms. He's dreaming of some white privilege. With every dumpster he would dive. His early days weren't merry or bright. When digging ditches on construction sites.
Erik Griffin in studio. ErikGriffin.com is where you go for all the live days. I've seen the man do stand-up. He is fantastic. So do not deprive yourself of that experience.
Thank you, sir.
I also want to say this, which I forgot about, but no, tell me where you're at. I've been flying fair bit of Southwest recently.
Really?
Lots of delays.
Lots
of delays. I'm the people's comedian. You want to go out of Burbank.
Yeah.
And
the convenience.
The convenience of Burbank means you are
Not
Southwest. And the last few Southwest flights I've had, I don't mind a flight delay. I don't mind the flight delay where they tell you there's a flight delay, because that means I'm just going to sit at the sports bar here in Burbank and have another beer and watch a thing.
But don't
load me on this goddamn plane.
Yes.
They load you on the plane, and our delay was so long 2 weeks ago, we had to come back and get more fuel because we'd been idling for so long. Then another hour out of Burbank last time. Then, okay. I got a lot to get to. But first, let me ask you this. So you're on the plane, but not only are you on the plane, but there is no beverage service or any kind of service because we're waiting. This is an active runway. This is an active taxiway. And I'm like, get the fucking card out. If we're going to be sitting here for 90 minutes, give me a Miller Lite. We're just hanging out. We're not doing anything. No, it's active. So you just have to sit there. Then you get up in the sky and they go, it's going to be a short 37-minute flight to whatever. And you go, great. And then at some point, and I believe, you tell me if you think this is a ruse or not. At this point, I had my last beer at the sports bar at the Burbank airport, and that was 2.5 hours ago now. I just want a Miller Lite. I'm just sitting there. And they do this thing, and they're climbing out, and they go, it's a very short 39-minute flight into McCarran in Vegas. And then the pilot goes, it's going to be a little turbulent, so I went and instructed the crew just to stay put. And you're like, oh, okay. All right, there better be some fucking wind shear. Like, I'm praying for wind shear. Yeah. We flew all the way. There was no turbulence. He just thought there might be some, or he didn't. This is a good way to save.
The crew's bummed on
Just hang out, ladies. Don't push this cart up and down in this fashion. You only got 39 minutes here. Yes, they do it a lot now. They go, we're experiencing some bumps on the safety concerns. I told the flight attendants, go ahead and stay strapped into the jump seats. You don't hit any turbulence. You realize, I've been in this plane for 3 hours and 15 minutes now. I didn't get one fucking pretzel. Yeah. That's where we're at.
So frustrating. My frustration is when you're waiting in the plane, not on the runway, on the gate. Like when you're at the runway, at least you know there's something going on that's stopping us from taking off. But when they board the plane and you're sitting there and you're like, what the heck? It's been an hour. What's going on with this plane? Right? And then they'll say something like, yeah, there's some sort of mechanical, like, hey, don't board the plane.
Yes, I agree.
Until all the mechanical shit has been handled. Okay? Because then it makes me go, what's going on here?
Well, that was on the way out.
Foresight?
I'm saying, like, is there some safety checks or some kind of thing going on?
There are, but it's
then board the plane. All I'm saying is,
I'm sorry. I'll tell you what you're dealing with. What you're dealing with here is what you deal with Hollywood all the time. You know, you go, oh, you're going to do Byron Allen's Funny You Should Ask show. You know, and they go, what time's the call time? 9 a.m. And you go, okay, 9 a.m. Yeah, 9 a.m. Then you show up at 9 a.m. Byron shows up at 11:15, and it's like, why do I have to get here at 9 a.m.? And they go, well, we want eyes on you. They just want to know where you are. They just want to know where you are. And so I always go, look, don't forget about what time you want me there. What time are we taping? Yeah. Oh, we're not taping until 11:30. Okay, then I'll backtrack it. I'll do the math. I feel like most businesses are this way. Just get on the plane. Now we know where you are, and we don't really care if you sit there for an hour and a half. We know where you are.
Today I dealt with this.
Today.
Let me tell you, I had to Uber here today because I was at a doctor's appointment with my wife. You know, we're 33 weeks pregnant. Okay. And the appointment was at 11. The doctor didn't come in till 12 something. So I actually had to leave.
Wow.
I had to leave to get here in an Uber. My wife's actually outside. She just tracked me and was like, I'm here to pick you up. And I was like, oh, thanks, you know. But, like, what I'm saying is, like, I hate that. Like, when I go to the doctor, you tell me to be there at 11, I almost want to do like this now. I want to call at 10:30, mark me as there.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm driving.
Mark me as there. So when I walk in the goddamn door, I want that doctor to be like, and you're next.
That'd be nice.
I walked out of the room to be like, babe, I got to go. The doctor's walking down the hall on his cell phone. I just, oh, hi. I said, yeah, I gotta go. She's like, I'm gonna be right in. I'm like to myself, like, there's there's certain professions like this can't happen. What I hate too is, like, you know, you're flying, right? You got a connection, which is annoying, right? Don't have my connection be 20 minutes in between. United Airlines does this all the time. You know, you're getting to Denver and your next flight is, you know, 30 minutes. Then now when you're in the airport at LAX and they're doing that whole, like, oh, we got a mechanical. Now you're looking at your thing like, am I going to make my connection flight?
Missed one the other week.
Yeah, like, am I going to make my connection? Right. There's no regard.
Oh, listen, now flying out of Vegas last week, flight gets kicked back about 20, 25 minutes. Fine, who cares? Get on the flight and they're like, Air Force One is landing.
Oh, yeah.
And all airspace is restricted, and we can't go anywhere until Biden gets off the plane.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm just sitting there going, what's Biden even doing fundraising at this
I have an answer for you. But
at this stage. And then I thought of my answer that wouldn't apply to me, McCarran, but he then comes out to Los Angeles. Eric, I want to know what you think of this idea. It's the greatest win-win ever. all the presidents, well, the Democrats come out to L.A. I don't think the Republicans do. But I remember Obama came out, and then he's going to Barbara Streisand's house in Malibu, and they got to close every road and put the birds in the air, and you can't get down the 10 because of the motorcade.
He's got to go to Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles on Pico.
Right.
So we can't even get around there.
And it's at 5 in the afternoon on a Thursday. And they got to lock down. Like, we don't have enough problems. I would say, why are we doing these fundraisers at George Clooney's house or at Spielberg's house in Beverly Hills? You got to get through LAX to Beverly Hills. You got to go right through the heart of the city. They got to lock down everything. It's a total shit show. Have the fundraiser at the hangar in the airport, and you get to go on to Air Force One, 10 at a time. You know what I mean? You paid you paid $80,000. You sit with Obama, you do some meet and greets, you get some dinner, and then at some point we break you off into groups of 10 and you walk on to Air Force One. These guys they've been to Spielberg's house a million times. They've never been on Air Force One, and we don't have to shut the city down. You just fly in, put some velvet ropes out, make it nice.
Take everybody to Chili's too.
That's
you know what I mean?
Yes.
And then we're ready to go.
No shutting down the city.
Yeah.
And the president doesn't have to leave and do the whole 4-hour motorcade either. He just gets back onto Air Force One when they're done and they leave.
This happens a lot in Vegas. This happened to me too.
Really?
But there was a great flight attendant. The people are getting on the plane and they're taking their time to pick it was on a Southwest flight, and the lady went on the thing. She goes, "Hey, everybody, you're not picking out furniture.
Right.
I need you to get and sit down because we're not going to be able to leave because of Air Force One." And everybody was like, and then there was like those people who were like, "All right, I want to get home."
Yes.
When you're leaving Vegas, there's a lot of like energy of like, "Hey, I just lost all my money at the blackjack table, or I just shouldn't have come on this trip, or whatever your thing is," and you want to get home. But I like that idea. I think they should have some sort of like presidential hangar. You have all your parties and stuff there. They can make it look fancy, and then boom, you're out.
And you pull Air Force One right up in there, and people get a firsthand look at Air Force One. All right, let's do some news.
A lot
Chris.
of security issues.
Well,
there we go.
And by the way, Southwest, you're heading out into Vegas. They should have made it good. A roadie on the way out. Here's your Miller Lite.
Yes.
Walk out with it.
I agree.
But the reason Biden was in Vegas is because he was announcing that they were going to be spending a few more $1 billion on some high-speed rails. So So
high-speed rails where?
Well,
they've been talking about it since I was in junior high.
What happened to Elon's tunnel? What happened to all that stuff?
Elon's tunnel is in Vegas.
It's under like the convention
center. It goes under the convention center.
I think he got bored,
Literally.
It's actually called,
the Boring Company.
Oh, okay. Well, because I thought this was going to be some big, underground tunnels all over LA and everything.
People were talking about they're going to go through the Sepulveda Pass, we're going to, and I'm like,
that would have been a better use of that $44 billion, don't you think?
Yes.
Of course. Well, but Biden was in Vegas, so they said that they'll give another $3.1 billion to boost the early phase of the high-speed rail connecting Merced, Fresno, Bakersfield, running through the Central Valley.
That's going to be a game changer.
All the way to L.A. too?
Well, they still got to fix the Central Valley.
Why haven't they done this, Adam? Why don't we have a bullet train from L.A. to frickin' Vegas that takes like what? A bullet train would take what? What tops?
They say 2 hours on the one they're doing, but a bullet train could do it faster than that.
But even if it's 2 hours, that is faster than the process of going to the airport, going through security, getting on a plane, landing, getting your luggage, whatever. Like it would be
not only that, but train travels infinitely better than a Southwest flight.
Yeah.
You can walk to the bar car, get a drink, sit
what
down,
are we talking
sit
about?
across from the person.
It would change.
And the Vegas, my idea for the Vegas one is they would have slots on the train, and the second they crossed a magnetic strip buried in the Nevada border, as soon as it crossed, it light up like a Christmas tree.
Yeah,
like
that's when the money.
People at like 41 minutes into the trip would be standing around the slots. You know what I mean?
The front of the
waiting
train
with the dice like this. Come on,
prostitutes would fall down from the ceilings. Like as soon as you cross Nevada, it would just light up like a Christmas tree. The whole train.
That sort of transportation,
free drinks.
That sort of transportation would change California. It would change because if you could get from LA to Vegas in 2 hours and it was going 24 hours a day, you would not need to live in LA.
Yeah, or I could get a job as a blackjack dealer in Vegas and just commute.
That's what I'm saying.
What's
That's like what I'm
Carolla
saying.
doing?
Like it's like what
He's working at Binion's.
that would be. How awesome would it be? You go to the blackjack table and you're like, there would be a part of you like, is that Adam Carolla?
Yeah, comedy pays some bills, but don't pay all of them.
Yeah, it's just a dream. Now that will be his Christmas dream. He was like, I always wanted to be a blackjack dealer in Vegas.
Well, my dream is to correct people, and that point, every casino has their own rules. Like you put the chip down on top of the cards, like sir, put the chip next to the card. When you want to hit, some of them's like tap, the others like eye contact.
I just realized you couldn't be a blackjack dealer because you are so obsessed with the minutia of things.
What's with the mouthpiece?
Yeah. You would be over there like, sir, can you not hold your cards that way? It would be a whole thing. The one round.
I could never do it.
20 minutes.
Because I would be blackjack dealer and I'd have a 3 showing and I'd have some drunk guy hitting with 19 and I'd go, really? I can't, by law, I have to take this card and I have to hand it to you. But if I were you.
And then the casino guy would come over and be like, Adam, can I speak to you in my office for a second, please?
Right. The pit boss.
The pit boss would come over. Adam, can I? Because what are you doing?
And I'd go, you're not the pit boss of me, bro. I'll get on this goddamn train and go back to NoHo.
Yeah.
I'll be there in less than 2 hours.
That would be. I don't know. But isn't it just like red tape? Isn't it just California red tape? Why we haven't got this bullet train done?
Trust me when I tell you, I grew up in this town, and I remember in high school sitting at my desk talking about the train that we were going to build from L.A. to Vegas. In high school, we were having that conversation 40 years ago.
And by the way, there isn't a train, right? Like you can't even get on an Amtrak and go, right?
No, what it is, all right, here's what's going on with trains. Trains are a metaphor for successful European and Asian cultures. And California fancies itself that, like a progressive, Eurocentric, and they go, oh, I came back from Europe. They have high-speed rail. It's beautiful. It's clean. It works. In Japan, they have the bullet train. And we go, that's evolution. That's what we need. And then we come back and we pitch it, and it doesn't work. We can't pull it off.
It's red tape.
Yes.
It doesn't make any sense. It would be so like beautiful. Even a train going from L.A. to San Francisco to that's like zip, zip, zip. I mean, imagine being able to live in like San Jose or all the different places, San Luis Obispo.
Yes.
Imagine you can live in San Luis Obispo but work in L.A. because there's a 30-minute bullet train that goes every hour.
And you can work on the train. I mean, it's perfect.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
What are we doing in this state, man?
So the L.A. to San Francisco train, so I mean, that cost because of the overruns and the delays swelled to over $100 billion. So they're not doing it anymore. We're just keeping it in Central Valley from Merced to San Francisco.
We're not even doing that?
But in France, in France, they're doing this kind of stuff at a fraction of the cost that we're doing. Like, other places, they don't have this kind of red tape. They just go, we're going to make this, it's going to go. But in this thing, it's all glad handing, and it's like, well, who's the contractors, and what's the what city is this going through?
The Sierra Club.
Yeah, they got to get all this
indigenous species.
Yeah.
And
that's a whole other thing.
That's
a whole other thing, man.
So I'd say we're not doing that. I mean, it's just so far on the back burner now because they're now just going to focus on let's see what we have and let's do it there. So they're going Merced to San Francisco. That cost is going to be about, just for that, is $35 billion.
Yeah.
And so they just got another $3 billion. So about $25 billion has been secured altogether.
Yeah, but is this money sitting in a Bank of America checking account? Where's the money? You know what I mean? Like, it should be earning interest at this point. Whatever the initial $100 billion, somebody get a calculator. They could have had $100 billion in a savings account 25 years ago, earning 4%. What kind of money would they have now to do this? Like, where's this money? Like, you know what it is? We're so blissfully ignorant and silent now that we just kind of are just going on with our lives, and all this nonsense is happening. And then occasionally someone will be like, my tax dollars. But do you really know or care?
No. we're all
Right?
complicit and
Well,
we're all
yeah,
soft
exactly.
and-
We're complicit in all of
And
this
also,
nonsense.
I don't know why they brag. They always go, "These are shovel-ready jobs." Like shoveling sounds like the worst job in the world that people have been doing for 2 million years.
Yeah, and who do you think's doing that work?
Oh, rich white. Oh no, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Shovel-ready.
Well, anyway, so the Vegas rail. So they said that they're going to break ground next year.
Oh,
I read the article.
$3 billion
They said
federal
we
grant.
break
Hold on a second.
ground.
Breaking ground? It's nothing from here to Vegas. It's nothing. What ground are they breaking?
They got to break ground, and they said the completion date is going to be one day after Adam Carolla dies. That's what I heard. So they don't know exactly that date, but
waiting
they
on
said
that, yeah.
we will.
That's like-
when Adam dies, that'll
That's when
be
we
the
cut the
inaugural
ribbon.
run.
You're
That'll
like-
be when we run it.
Yeah, he's like Pete Rose. You know what I mean? In terms of like the day Pete Rose dies is the day he will be put into
In
the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Yep. That's
You know?
what they said.
Yeah.
When Pete Rose and Adam Carolla die, that's when
We're gonna
this
get the
thing's gonna
bullet
be.
train and Hall of Fame.
So you're the one holding it up, Adam.
Yeah.
Well, just a completion date. They could have started whenever they wanted.
Yeah. And it's going to leave from Rancho Cucamonga.
Wait. What?
Yep.
Yeah, they said so. The Brightline West train will be travel from Rancho Cucamonga to Vegas.
So
This
you
is
can
all-
sit in your car for 2.5 hours
to get
and drive
there.
to Rancho
Yeah.
Cucamonga.
You know, this is
Save
the thing.
time.
This is the thing too. It's all about money. Like even in Vegas, it makes no sense that there isn't a tram that goes from the airport.
Mm-hmm.
You get your bags. You get in the tram after you get off the plane. And that stupid tram takes you right on the strip and to every single freaking hotel.
Yes.
So like when it's time to go home, you just go, all right, you get on the train and it takes you right to United. Takes you right to, wherever you're going, right to Southwest, whatever it is. They don't want to do that because then here's you get me on a tangent here, Adam,
Please.
because I love this. You know what? In Vegas now, when you get into a cab, okay, they have a city law now that it's a certain price based off of where you're going on the strip. So now there's no nonsense when you get into the cab. You get into the cab now. Before you would get into the cab and they'd be like, what route you want me to take?
Oh yeah, or like I know a back route.
Yeah, because they know the freeway's better because they know they were scamming us this whole time.
Yes.
So now you get into the cab and they don't even ask. They go, they got it because they got to get the next fare. They got
Right.
the next fare. So it's like it's all this. Like anytime money's involved in this kind of stuff, it's never about efficiency. It's never about quality of life. It's all about somebody's pockets.
Yeah, man. Well, that's the American way. And we've at least...
And we're
at least
thriving
we
on
know.
it. Yeah. At least we know. Now we know.
All right, what else you got?
So Jada Pinkett-Smith,
Proud woman.
have we had enough of her yet? I mean,
You know what? We gotta like Chris Rock is the new marriage counselor for the stars.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, really? Something
Yeah.
going
Oh,
on?
she said that the slap.
This is right. You go ahead.
Yeah, she said that Chris Rock, Will slapping Chris Rock has saved their marriage.
That's right. She's calling it the holy slap.
Wow.
Yeah.
Why?
Because she says that so many positive things came after it.
Mm-hmm.
And she realized after that slap, she will never leave her husband.
Wow.
This is the like go away. You know what I mean? Like go away.
Yeah,
there is like you basically have zero interest in anything positive about their lives or what they're doing. I don't care what Will Smith movie is coming out. I don't care what she's doing. The whole thing is about their crazy relationship. The fact that they weren't together for 7 years, you go, why did you slap him?
Yeah.
It makes zero sense.
Everything's tainted now too.
Oh.
I mean, and Will Smith, like I can't. Will Smith movie comes out, I can't.
I can't even support the guy. I loved Jimmy Kimmel on what the last Oscars, the one right after when he how he was really like, I like how you guys just do the same thing, do nothing, and then celebrate the assailant an hour later. Like right. That whole. It's like it's the whole Oscars audience was those college presidents.
Yes. Yes. It's a good analogy.
Yeah.
They were all the college presidents just being like, "Oh, we don't know."
All right, can we agree on this?
I'm sorry, I can't go on a
No, you're right. Jada Pinkett-Smith. There's 3 people I never want to hear from again. I don't want to hear from her.
Love this list. Go.
Sofia Vergara.
Done with her.
Done with her talking. Done with her.
Done with her.
Heidi
Go.
Klum, not
Bye.
another syllable.
Yeah.
Walk around, look good, shut up. Every time I watch those entertainment shows, one of those 3 women is chiming in about something. I'm done.
Yeah.
And Jada. For me, it's Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. Get out of my life, okay? They should have a reality show about them trying to get back together because who cares?
Yeah.
Okay? Done. Jada Pinkett-Smith.
With how good AI is getting, you should be able to just mute people from your life, right? Like every time they come on the TV, your TV just goes on mute.
That's a good.
You know when you delete, it's like when you delete someone from your Instagram.
Yeah.
It should just be goodbye.
They're gone.
Yeah.
They're poof, they're gone from your life.
They are at the top of the food chain for the weirdest couple ever to exist.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
They have to be, right? But then, like, all the things she kept coming out with. It's so crazy. And then that guy, did you see that video of the guy talking about how he walked in on Will Smith and the guy?
There's some.
The way that guy is talking about it, I was like, are you jealous? But just the way.
Do you know this, Adam?
Oh, you haven't heard? The guy's
yeah.
His old assistant.
It was murder.
Having gay sex.
Yeah, he was like, he was murdering Will. And I just think to myself, like, at this day and age, in 2023, honestly, who cares if someone's gay? Yeah. Like, for real.
No,
nobody
cares.
There is. So there's been some weird stuff going on. Will's old assistant said that he was gay and he walked in on having gay sex. Like there was like an Usher thing, like a leaked phone call where somebody said Usher was gay, and like, oh, you think that?
Just looking at him, but all right.
But I'm saying this, like, at this point right now, let's say it's true. Would we really care if Will Smith comes on? Like, if he's with his wife, TMZ's like, Will, what do you think about this? He was like, I did a lot of wild stuff. You know, I did a lot of wild stuff back in the day, but thanks for asking. I mean, and then he just moves on. Where would we go after that?
Well, let me explain the phenomenon.
Who would care?
I'm going to explain the phenomenon.
Preach.
It's the Lance Bass phenomenon.
Oh, right.
We think he's gay for a decade, but he won't say it. The second he says I'm gay, we all go, all right, we're done, and we move on.
Nobody tease it a little bit.
Nobody cares that Lance Bass is gay. We care that we're not calibrated. Like it's like how women act. Like it's like Bill Gates' wife and how she acted with Epstein. She's like, I knew that guy was creepy. I knew it. I would say it. It's like what? It's like if you're ever with a woman and she gets creeped out by some guy or some woman, she goes, I don't like that person. You go, what do you mean? They're a great couple. And then at some point later on, it turns out they embezzled and they were into some weird shit. And then your woman always goes, I knew it.
Confirmed.
I knew it. It's like a feeling.
Never liked them.
It's an instinct they have. So like when we have an instinct that Lance Bass is gay and he won't say anything, it bugs the shit out of us. And the second he says he's gay, we don't care.
All right, moving on. Yeah.
Moving on. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but a lot of weird, like in the black community, like Will Smith, Usher, Dwight Howard stuff came out. You hear all like,
oh yeah,
all that stuff too.
Well, Dwight Howard said he's doing a podcast, and he's like, I have stories to tell.
Oh, Dwight Howard's gay?
Well, I mean, there's all these stories about him like.
Well, it's not even just. Here's what happened. I think like there was a guy that was trying to sue him or whatever, and I think that in the process he had to admit it was consensual.
Yeah.
So
there's some Obama gay stuff. There's a lot of crazy black gay stuff out there. I don't know.
Sounds like a book Adam's writing.
Yeah. But
crazy black stuff coming out. Adam Carolla, right?
I think it's more taboo in the black community, so that's why it's a bigger deal.
Scandalous.
But by the way, though, I totally understand if you're like, let's just pick Dwight Howard, for instance.
Okay.
You're Dwight Howard. You're gay. You just want to be Dwight Howard. Sometimes you don't want to be now the spokesperson for a community.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Sometimes you just want to be like, can I just play ball and if I want to go suck off whatever, it's my thing. But now it's like now you have to be not just the basketball player. You have to now be the gay basketball player. And so I understand why people would be like, because even Lance Bass had talked about that. He was gay. Hey, everybody knew. They knew. He was like, can I stop doing this now? Are we breaking up so I could go be gay?
Yeah.
Because it's like all the girls that liked NSYNC. It was like, NSYNC, oh my God. He was like, okay, I guess I can't be gay in this group. But he's like, all right. I'm just saying, it's like, I think we live in a time now where, like, even when somebody's like, hey, you're gay, he's like, okay, why are you saying that? Like, what's okay? You go yes or no.
It doesn't matter anymore.
Right? It doesn't matter.
No.
I think we're more upset, be more upset if, like, that comes out and then Will Smith is just being like, we're suing him and all this kind of stuff.
That's what they said.
I don't think it's really, I think it should just more be like, it's like, whatever, let's just not talk about it, let it go away. That's what it's going to be your playbook.
Quiet.
Just be quiet.
Right.
Let it go away.
Yeah.
We're never going to hear
Adam's
about it again.
Tips. Stay silent.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see here. So also Angelina Jolie, she did a interview saying that she's going to leave Hollywood. She's done in Hollywood. She just doesn't like the public scrutiny. She says she wouldn't have been an actress today had she gone out if she started in 2023. It's just too much in the public life. She's just coming off a divorce. Her kids are in college.
She did, have lots of photo ops of her wearing vials of Billy Bob Thornton's blood and like making out with her biological brother
enjoy the public.
on a red carpet. Like there are ways. Like, you know what I would say? Jodie Foster, I never know where the fuck she is. I don't know where she's avoided TMZ.
Thank you.
She doesn't go to the Ivy and step out in front of tour buses and stuff.
How about Billy Bob Thornton? Like no one.
Love him.
This guy's probably the greatest actor ever. I don't know where he is.
No. And if
he's not on
I don't
Instagram,
know what he's thinking all the
I don't know
time.
what he's thinking. It doesn't matter. Political shit happens, and we know Billy Bob Thornton says Trump. No, we don't care.
And I like that I don't care.
Yes.
So the point is there is a way to avoid the scrutiny of the paparazzi, but you have to work at it a little bit. Hence, Jodie Foster.
I don't know if you have to work
you don't have to work at it. But look, when someone says, hey, you want to go to dinner Saturday night? And they go, how about Craig's or the Ivy? You go, how about we keep it local in Malibu? And then you go out to dinner. There's a way to do it.
By the way, I love when people... I love when someone like that is like, well, I'm retiring from Hollywood. No, I think Hollywood retired from you.
Yes, there's that.
There's a certain thing. It's like, yeah, we're not clamoring for an Angelina Jolie project anymore, which I think is the real issue.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes, I agree.
Like if she was, like Helen Mirren, who's like this like very elegant, glamorous woman who like is still working in her 80s. It's like just be that person now. Well, I think a lot of people don't know how to not be super famous anymore. It's like someone like Madonna. Madonna's like, women over 45 aren't being celebrated. Like, first of all, you're 60.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's be 100.
That'd be like me going, guys who got under 2,000 on the SATs you got 400, Carolla. Yeah. Well, that's under.
Yeah. So it's like what I'm saying is like at a certain point it's like, no, you're being celebrated. You're celebrated. You're known by a single name. You're the most famous, popular singer, female singer of all time. You're celebrated. It's just not celebrated in the same way that it was. I think it's hard for someone who was like that famous, that sexually desired too, that you perpetuated too.
Are you talking about yourself now?
But I'm saying like, Angelina Jolie was like, she was the one,
Yeah.
She was the sexiest woman ever. And she led it. She leaned into it. We weren't like, it wasn't this like, oh, she's not going to show or no, she's like, nah, this is who I am. I'm doing this. You turned 40. You turned 42. You got kids who are like older now. You're like, you know what? I'm not that person anymore. We're okay with that. Move on with your life. You're like a professional athlete who turned 35 and can't dunk anymore. You know what I mean? You move on.
But she's going to like Cambodia or something, right?
Yeah,
fine. But what I'm saying is like...
She'll be back.
Yeah, it's like, you know what else? I don't need the announcement.
That's a good point.
We already know you retired because...
she already has a home in Cambodia. Just go.
Just get out of here. Just
Yeah.
live your life. I would love to hear in 15 years. Remember Angelina Jolie? Yeah, she's got a farm in Cambodia and she's like, helping the environment and whatever she's doing. We'd be like, oh, that's awesome for her. That sounds like a great way to, But the fact that you have to make all these announcements.
Yeah, you're right. Don't make the announcement.
I don't need your
Just go to
announcement. Just get the
Cambodia.
fuck out of her life.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I agree. All right. What else?
So a lot of people talking about Patrick Mahomes today.
Oh, yeah, he's upset.
He's upset. So during his handshake, the after game handshake with like Josh Allen, they're greeting each other, and Patrick is just complaining about that last offsides call.
Yeah.
It was like the worst effing call he's ever seen. We have the video, but let's just watch. You can hear Mahomes complaining during the handshake.
Yeah, he was fired up. It was a crazy, great play. And I'm going to ask Eric, what is the neutral zone?
I have no idea, dude.
Nobody knows what the neutral zone is because it doesn't exist. There's an end zone, and there's a playing field, and then there's a sideline, and there's a playing field. There is no neutral zone sideline.
Oh, right,
and there's no neutral zone end zone. Did he get into the end zone, or is he in the field of play? There's a line of scrimmage. One side of it, you're fine. The other side of it, you're offside. And what neutral zone are you in?
Oh, no. No, there is a...
What is the neutral zone?
The players can't be touching each other.
Right.
So like the offensive line and defensive line can't touch each other. That neutral zone is that area. There's like a foot-long area between where they have to line up.
But
there's a line of scrimmage, and the defense has to be, I believe, a foot off of that, and there has to be a certain number of players on that line for the offense.
Well, the ball's the ball.
Yeah.
And defense can't be on the other side of the tip of the ball. But they can be as close to the tip as they want. They just can't be they can't break the tip of the ball.
Oh, but I think the offense is the one that has to have you can only have a certain number of players on the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, so
I don't know
that's
why.
The neutral zone.
That's the neutral zone.
But what's his name's foot wasn't in the neutral zone. It was on the other side of the line of scrimmage.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you want to see the play or just want to watch the handshake?
The play is great. We'll just watch the handshake.
Okay, here's the handshake.
Longest fucking call I've ever seen, man.
Worst fucking call I've ever seen.
Offensive offsides in that moment, man. Fucking terrible.
Good. He's pissed. That's a
People are
competitor.
saying he's a baby about it. Like, actually, his likability rating has went down.
Well, okay.
Yeah, but people that know him and talk about him already know he is this kind of a competitive guy.
Right.
Listen, the narrative on someone I don't care about. And what I love about sports is a meritocracy. I don't care what kind of person you are. I don't, if you're the quarterback of my fantasy team, I don't want to hear about your personal life. That's on him.
Yeah.
He's the one out with his wife doing shows and like doing this hey, I'm this guy. That's who he is.
Yes.
He's a competitive monster,
also,
and that's why we like him.
Not only you get the loss, but he just threw a ball that traveled 14 yards in the air and got a TD. He would get a TD on his record for that. You know what I mean? Nobody I hit a home run in high school that traveled down the track at North Harvard High. There was no fence. It just kept going. And I just rounded the bases. And they said I missed third base, and they called me out at third base. But
oh no,
it doesn't go in the books as a home run with an out on third base. It goes in the books as hitting a double. I didn't like my home run that should have been in the book downgraded to a double, and his home run got downgraded to an out.
Yeah.
So that sucks. And the next game, I went to Fairfax. I hit a triple, and they threw me out at first base. Same thing. It's the craziest story ever.
Tagging the bases,
that triple turned into an out. That's what I'm saying. But now here's the thing, and I was saying this. Remember in baseball, you used to be able to turn a double play and straddle second base.
Yeah.
The shortstop or second baseman wouldn't touch second base. They'd straddle second base. And they just called it a double play. Now I think you have to touch it. The rule is either make a rule or don't make a rule. If the rule is you're over the line of scrimmage, then enforce it. If
Right.
not, don't go, well, people let you go across it a little bit. No one ever calls that,
But this is all about like having real officials or just making it all AI.
Yeah, but I get the fact that everyone is pissed. The point is the receiver's foot was clearly up past the ball. He could have just stepped back.
But
half
they could
a
say,
step.
like, oh, we've been doing this all year, though.
I
and
know.
They haven't called it. So that's why. And like in the NBA, like traveling or things like that.
Yeah, no, there's a bunch. How about the tackle on the offensive line leaving a beat early before the ball is snapped? Those guys leave. I mean, they don't go forward. They go into pass protection a beat before the ball is snapped. They don't call them offsides. Even the quarterbacks with the countdown clock, if they get to snap off a second after it goes to zero,
I always think that. I always think like, oh, there is a penalty.
Right, but they let
But
you
the
have
problem
it.
is because we have instant replay, so that's what it is.
Yeah.
All right, we got the founder and former CEO of Panera Bread, Ron Shaich. He's going to join us. You want to hang in, Eric, or are we cutting Eric loose?
My
your
pregnant wife is outside,
Waiting
like, blowing my phone up. Like, I thought you were going to be done already.
Yeah, we have not let her in.
Yeah, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
hey, guys, thanks for having me.
Can't get her a little tap water? All right, go to ericgriffin.com for all live shows. Always great to see you, Eric.
Yeah, man. Thanks, guys.
We'll be here with Ron Shaich right after this. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Well, they have a holiday gift guide, and it's here. So if you're struggling with gift ideas, they have something for everyone with gifts starting at under $10. They've got deals for the mechanic on your list, and you can save on work lights, tools, and more, and help those who like to help themselves. Choose from great gift ideas to help someone make their car look its best inside and out, and save on cleaning supplies like washing and drying cloths, floor mats, steering wheel covers, seat covers. It's all there. The holiday gift guide also has the emergency supplies you need for your loved ones to stay safe. Save now on tire inflators and Super Start 12-foot jumper cables. The professional parts people will help you pick out the perfect gift for that hard-to-buy-for person on your list this year. Stop by your local O'Reilly Auto Parts or shop O'ReillyAuto.com.
It's time to check Adam's voicemail.
Hey, Adam. I was having a conversation with my 17-year-old son about alcohol, and he revealed to me that he had tried some vodka over the summer. When I asked him where he got the booze, he said, oh, it's easy. You just send in your fastest friend into the CVS, and they grab whatever they want and run. Get it on.
You can leave us a message at 888-634-1744.
Well, Ron Shaich is joining us now. He's got a new book out, Know What Matters, Lessons from a Lifetime of Transformations, available wherever you find finer books. Ron, of course, Panera. We talked about starting that iconic chain. And then Aban Payne, I forgot about that back in the day as well. It's a huge industry now, and Ron's here to talk. Good to see you, Ron.
Hey, Adam, how are you? What do you think? You know what matters?
Do I know what matters? My problem with the entrepreneurial spirit is I just have stuff I want to do, and then there's a whole bunch of stuff I don't want to do. And everyone always goes, when you're the boss, you got to do all that stuff. And I'm like, listen, we did the Man Show for a million years. I had 100 employees. I didn't want to check on all of them and know what they were all doing or anything. I just wanted to walk in and write and then go perform it and then go home. That's my problem.
I get it, Adam. The business, when you create a business, when you run a business, I had 125,000 employees. When you do, the business owns you. You don't own it.
125,000 employees. I will tell you one thing I've learned.
Yes.
Get some lieutenants who are good at that stuff underneath you and let them do it. Absolutely.
I mean, we're only as good as the people around us, right? Any coach, anybody knows that. So, they're what drives us, what defines us.
So the height was, and I always think about Panera. There's one in my neighborhood. My kid goes there all the time.
Where do you live at?
I'm in La Cañada area.
Where?
There's one, La Cañada. Oh, think about Pasadena, Glendale, California, sort of where it is.
He's in Boston, so
I remember when everyone started getting super into keto, and then here's this chain that's sort of bread centric, and I thought, how are they going to handle this?
Well, everybody wanted us to drop bread from my name, right? And I said, look it, I walk into the restaurants and our sales were still strong, and I'd see people there and I'd say, let me ask you a question. What are you doing in Panera Bread? They said, I came here because you make great salads or you make great soups. I like what you do. And I think for us, the bread was simply the statement, the platform. It wasn't actually the product. And it was because of that quite frankly, we went through Atkins, we went through the keto crisis and stayed strong.
So for you, let's get back to your roots. Where do you start off and how do you start off?
Well, I started off in New Jersey. I was a political guy. I grew up in the 60s. I really wanted to be part of social change, and I had no interest in business. I didn't think business was really what I needed and wanted to do when I was in college. A place called Clark University in Worcester, Massachusetts. Got tossed out of a local convenience store. They accused us of shoplifting, Adam, if you can believe it. I walked back and said, the hell with these guys. Let's open our own nonprofit store. And I was the treasurer of the student body. We taxed the student body. We raised enough money. There was nobody to run the store, nobody to build the store. I volunteered to do it. And for a kid who can't dance, a kid who couldn't sing, I running the store was the most creative thing I had ever done in my life. I realized I loved doing this. I loved the process of doing it. And it really changed my life, Adam.
What are your take on brands? I mean, the reason I'm asking you this question is you started off with an idealistic approach to life, that you wanted to change. You were politically based.
Yeah.
And companies, when I were growing up, I didn't really know their politics, and they sort of stayed out of most causes. They just talked about their product, and then at some point they started talking about, half our trucks are made with recycled materials or things like that. Now they've really gone deep into a lot of causes. Some of them, Bud Light, perhaps Disney, and some other big companies got burned pretty fast and sort of changed direction pretty fast. Budweiser's now with the UFC, Bud Light. And I want to know sort of your take on what they're doing and what they should do or shouldn't do, and then how does it work? Like when somebody says, we want to get Dylan Mulvaney to shoot a spot holding our product, does that go up the food chain? Does anyone raise their hand and go, I don't know, this might alienate some of our consumers? Or how does that work, and what do you think?
Yeah, so I start here. I think we have to talk about who the constituents of an organization are, of a company. And one of the most important constituents for today's young people is our own employees and how they feel about working for the company, how they feel working for the organization. And so often I felt a responsibility to speak to issues that gave voice to the values of our company, gave voice of the values of our team members, the folks that work there. And in fact, I did. Panera over 20 odd years took very strong positions around food. We were the first company in the country to remove trans fats from our food. We were among the very first to bring out antibiotic-free chicken, first to publish caloric information on our menus. I tell you a quick story. I remember when the government was insisting on it in 2010, my industry was fighting it. I said, you know what? If you're embarrassed about what's in your food, why don't you change your food and not try to hide it? We posted it. My point is ultimately we removed all artificial colors, flavors, preservatives. My point is, in speaking to issues like this, in speaking to issues, we spoke to gun control. I spoke when the incidents went down in Charleston, and I also, I think you need to take a moral stand, a principled stand on issues, and you do because your people need to hear that. It's part of the relationship they have with the organization and respect. And frankly, I like to take stands in which 80% of the broader world will support me. I'm not going out there trying to fight battles, but I am trying to add my voice as a corporate leader to what I believe is right and what I think adds value.
Well, I agree. And then there are people that are really out there in this department, like Ben and Jerry's, for instance. They're a company that gets involved with a lot of social issues.
They sold out to a very large company 20 odd years ago. They're not running it anymore.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But they're keeping it kind of quiet, and I get it. There's boutique beer companies get bought out by Anheuser-Busch, but they keep it on the down low, and they make you think that Bartles and James are still in charge of their wine coolers. Which I understand. But see, I think the problem comes in that I think the general opinion of the public isn't that we hate transgender rights. It's that I don't believe Budweiser believes what they're telling us. I think I think the backlash comes from not people going, I hate Dylan Mulvaney. They go, Budweiser, you guys have been around for 150 years. I've not heard a word out of you about trans rights, and all of a sudden you're into it now. That's the problem.
I agree with you, Adam. If a leader or an organization sees it as a marketing campaign, sees it as another way to mechanically manipulate people to take a point of view, if it isn't from its soul, it's transparently broken. It doesn't work. And the key way to do this is to be consistent over a very long period of time. And I think I ran Panera for 27 years. I was a public company CEO for 27 years. You were talking sports. I ran a public company longer than Cal Ripken played baseball. I'm still standing. And the truth is that the way we went through that is we were consistent in what we stood for. We were consistent in what we were doing. And we really tried to make a genuine difference in the lives of our guests.
Who are some of the companies and brands that are doing it right? I always think of like Porsche is just a great brand. Everything they do is just sort of Porsche. And they never, very rarely get sucked into new Coke or whatever the version of that would be. But what do you think?
I was starting to say this. We see across corporate America. In fact, we see in our body politics this continual, flavor of the month, and it's what you were talking about Bud, and the folks there at Anheuser-Busch. If all we're doing is chasing that flavor, we don't stand for anything, and everybody gets it. And I think one of the great strengths of Panera, where people understood what it stood for. I think Porsche has a vision, a design vision, an essence, and I write about it in the book at great length. How do you define that? How do you develop it when you start a business? What do you stand for? If you don't stand for anything, you stand for nothing. If you're everything to everybody, you're nothing. And I think that what Porsche is a very clearly defined brand. And I think if you look around the landscape, the brands that stand for something, Patagonia, that you know where they come from, they've got an appeal, they're speaking to the extreme user. Those are the brands that over time succeed and define. I think another good example is Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A, we can talk about its politics, but Chick-fil-A has been consistent in delivering high levels of service over a very long period of time. 20 years ago, Chick-fil-A was worth just a small percentage of KFC. Today, it's worth magnitudes of KFC. What happened? They had a different level of service, a different level of experience. They were able to grow their sales more rapidly because of that. Standing for something matters in what you do and what I do.
I remember they didn't have Chick-fil-A in L.A. for a long period of time, as I recall. And I remember many years ago for Jimmy Kimmel's cousin Sal's birthday, which we threw at my house, probably would have been the year 1999, maybe 2000. Not only did we pay Rowdy Roddy Piper to come to the party, because that was Sal's favorite wrestler, but Jimmy, I think, had someone drive out of state to get Chick-fil-A.
Hey, do you remember when you bought Coors beer only in Colorado and guys would bring it back in a suitcase on an airplane? Same thing.
Well, I only know it from Smoking the Bandit, but yes.
I got it.
Yes. Yeah, and Chick-fil-A does it right. And, I know that Chick-fil-A is religious or conservative, but they don't hit you over the head with it. I don't see it as part of their world. I just know it.
I think they got in a lot of trouble around gay rights, in which they came out against essentially civil marriages and the like. And they were funding their Southern Baptists. They were funding these organizations. And I know in Boston, where I'm from, Boston actually outlawed Chick-fil-A even operating in that community.
At the airport. Too,
anywhere in the city.
Right.
And they couldn't get a permit. And I think that they went through that because their defining characteristic is not their political attitude, but their defining characteristic is the level of service. When you walk into Chick-fil-A and somebody says, "Thank you, sir, for coming. Good morning. May I serve you?" That's fundamentally different than when you walk into so much of fast food where they go, "Please don't excuse me for somebody who cares." And and you've had that experience when you walk in and you're hungry. The choice is between allowing the people that are behind the counter to serve you, if I may say, and nothing. And all too often starvation wins. And have you had that experience?
My experience with places like In-N-Out Burger over here is markedly different than Jack in the Box. There's just something different. Sometimes it's body language. It's a smile on the person's face. They have a little pep in their step. There's just a
sense of self-respect.
Yeah, and
and respect for you, right?
Well, I mean, for me, like I'll give you talking about sports. I always remember playing Pop Warner football and even high school, but somehow it was more acute when I was playing Pop Warner. And you'd go and you'd play these teams all over the city, and some teams you didn't play before and you didn't know where they were from, and they're from what seemed like a long ways away and whatever. And you didn't really have any idea what to expect from this team. But when you would line up on the very first snap and they would all fire out like in unison and stay with their blocks and then hustle back to the huddle and then break the huddle with one unified clap and run up to the front line, I'd go, oh, it's going to be a long day.
Right.
I knew who these guys were. One play, I knew how these guys were coached. I knew how they played. And I knew this wasn't a lazy team, and it was gonna be a battle. And you kind of get the same experience just walking into a business.
Adam, what that is a business that's well run. Guys like me who've been around it my life, you can feel it when you walk in. There's a level of discipline, a level of self-respect. The place holds together. And In-N-Out is another great example of an organization invested in people. It doesn't do anything all that complicated. It's just hard to do over and over and over, and do it with kind and decent people. And here's the reality of corporate America. I don't know if you've been in it, but the reality is so many companies are flawed in their ability to get done what they say they're going to do. Businesses are complex. Just imagine having 100,000 people and getting them all to run the same play. Right. And what that takes and how you do that. And one of the things that I tried to write about in the book was actually, how do you do that? How do you get 100,000 people marching in the same direction and caring and staying in the place and doing their job and not blaming each other? And it's so essential. And what amazes me is how often corporate America fails at it.
Well, somehow In-N-Out Burger and Chick-fil-A has been able to inculcate that into people, a climate that other businesses don't. I'll tell you where I really notice it. Chris notices it too. I was just down at the Daily Wire in Nashville, Tennessee. Everyone in there is totally respectful, friendly as hell, and you're like, yes, sir, no, sir, stuff. When you're from LA, you're not used to hearing young people treat you that way.
Yeah.
Here, it's like everyone's just looking at their feet going, I don't know, man, it's not my problem. They're like, yes, sir, no, sir. Can I get you a glass of water?
It's jarring.
It's jarring. It's jarring. And I don't know if everyone sat down and told these people, this is how you have to act.
No, Adam, let me tell you, it's not about what you tell people. It's hiring people who have that in them. So there's an expression I love. You can't teach a pig to sing. right? I can't make you do something. I can find people that have those kinds of values, that kind of sensibility, and I can give you a space to survive and succeed and prosper. And that's what a good business leader does.
And well, there's also a culture bad and a culture good exists, which is if you do try to show up to get a job at In-N-Out Burger and you have a bad attitude, you're going to be surrounded by 14 people that have a different attitude, and you're going to be the odd man out. And conversely, I've been to a million businesses where everyone behind the counter's an ass. I mean, you feel the same energy from when you go, let me talk to your manager, and the manager comes slumping around the corner and you're like, oh, this guy's as bad as you are. And
Adam, I think you're ready to run a restaurant.
I am.
Yes. I mean, seriously, we're going to get you an apron and maybe a cap and put you to work. No, it's the key. The key is those folks. You don't do the work. You can't as the manager.
Right.
I can't get people to do anything. What I can do is find people that get it, that understand it, and create a direction. And then find mechanisms or systems to engage them and help them to give what they're capable of.
Yeah, over all the years that you've been managing these hundreds of thousands of people, have you noticed a change in the average American employee?
I think there's been good people for forever. I think there's still good people. I do think that there's a bit of a slacker attitude that is growing in our kids, all of them. A sense that you can take this job if you don't like it, and I'll walk down the street and make 25 cents more or less. I think, unfortunately, our whole society has gotten a little bit more that way. A little less respect, a little more sense that everything is tradable, and everything is transactional. And I think one of the things that we try to do as an employer, I try to do, is to create environments that respect people, that treat people with respect, and then we can find people that have that in them and ask that of them. Here's the thing: the average person, anybody you hire, left to their own devices, will give you 30 or 40% of what they're capable of. Our trick in running organizations is to create the kind of environments that get people to give you 80 or 90 or 100% because they see it in their self-interest, because it's who they are, it's because our compensation systems work, because they have something in it for them. And that's the way we all work. And leadership is very much about that.
Yeah, I think the self-esteem movement has definitely hurt the cause for sure, because you're really asking people to not think about themselves so much and to go do a job. And it might not be a job, especially at the beginning stages of the job, that's very glamorous. And now everyone looks at themselves as an individual. And when they look at yourself as a special individual, it's hard to join a team and adapt an attitude because you're essentially having to be a cog in a machine.
Absolutely. But I would argue that. And I would say that the smart managers, I hope you'd say this about us. I know you'd say it about Chick-fil-A. We're trying to figure out how do we cut people in so that they share in what's created. A manager of a Chick-fil-A, I was just reading the other day, can make $100,000 to $500,000 a year because they're essentially company-owned franchisees. They're cut in. We had a program called Joint Venture Partner. We have it in my company today where we cut them in for 1% of the profit because, there's an expression, right? I'd much rather hang on to a galloping horse than kick a mule. I want somebody running my restaurants who care. I want somebody in those restaurants that's excited, that's looking and knows how to run that restaurant, knows how to hire the kinds of people that we're talking about, knows how to build that kind of thing in. And if you're able to do that, Adam, I'm going to get you a job where you can make a couple of $100,000 a year or more. Because that's a unique and powerful thing.
You brought up saturated fats, I think, when we were talking about your brand earlier.
Trans fats.
Trans fats, sorry. I'm not sure. What is a saturated fat and a trans fat? But seed oil and all this stuff, it's proving to be a scourge now. It's everywhere. It's in every ingredient. It's in every salad dressing. It's in every cookie and cracker. It's literally every chip. It is not escapable at this point and appears not to be doing anyone any good. and I've heard a company or two who said we're going to not sell anything with seed oils in it. Maybe it was a Sprouts Market or something more of that, or Irwan or something like that. Where do you think we're going with that and health and as it pertains to, let's say, fast food?
Yeah, I start by looking at what are the deeper trends, not the fad of the moment. And I think one of the deeper trends you read about over and over and over is first, less processing. And, oil is a very heavily processed product, the way in which it's made, the way in which it's formed. And I think you're moving increasingly into less processing. As an outgrowth of that, there is a movement. The number one diet in the country is the Mediterranean diet. If your doctors are talking about it, U.S. News and World Report are rating it number one. I'm the chairman of, and we're a very large investor in a company called Cava, which is the dominant Mediterranean chain today. Went public 4 months ago, got a $4 billion market cap. Powerful company because it speaks to the way your doctors are telling you, Adam, you should be eating, which is a Mediterranean diet.
Yeah.
Cava's delicious.
Lots of olive oil probably and less seed oil.
They
use less processing. We're talking about hummus. We're talking about red pepper hummus. We're talking about crazy feta. We're talking about lentils. And that's the kind of way you want to eat. Your doctors are telling you that. And guys that have come along like Cava, which we think the world of, who are able to deliver that experience are going to be the winners of the future.
Are you finding that, I was talking to somebody, I think I was flying Southwest from Vegas or something, and my guy
that's your mistake.
Yes. The guy I was traveling with was talking about they're going to do a Concorde 2 airplane, and it's going to get to Europe in 2.5 hours from New York, and so on and so forth. And I said, yeah, the Concorde airplane is, 50 years old, 45 years old or something at this point.
Retired.
Yeah. We had the technology. That was always the future. You're going to be able to get to, New York to LA in under 3 hours and so on and so forth. But at some point, the airlines figured out people would rather pay and buy a cheap seat and have a slow flight than have an expensive seat and get there in half the time. And they sort of did that. And fast food used to kind of be that way. Look, it's not going to be the best, but it'll be cheap, and you can feed the whole family. I feel like people are willing to pay now. Yeah. Maybe Starbucks did that. $5 for a cup of coffee.
To be honest with you, I think that, in the early 90s, I think Panera, actually, Starbucks, Chipotle a little later, we really were created from that view of the world. In the early 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s, fast food was evolving. It was developing. It was the antidote to the independent restaurant. It was consistent across the interstates. It was, food that you could count on. You could take a burger, you could take fries, pizza, you could take chicken, and you could take that product and make it consistently and good. And it began to evolve. By the early 90s, there were 60,000 fast food units in America. They were self-service gasoline stations for the human body. It was 4:00 in the afternoon, like nutritional cocaine. The quickest way to get any nutrition in your body was hit the drive-thru. And guys like me in the early 90s, guys like Howard, came along and said, you know what? People want something more. Not everybody, but 1 out of 3 consumers want food that leaves them with a different feeling. And we began to imagine that if we created environments that engage people, had people that actually cared, served food that people felt respected them, we could elevate people's experience. So what came along, what we did, was essentially change the currency. The currency of fast food, and you got it, was a lot of food for not a lot of money. The currency of what's now called fast casual, which is what Panera is the poster child for, is really a higher self-esteem experience for just a few bucks more.
Yeah, people will spend a little more. That's the problem with the Concorde is it's not 40% more. It's 2,000% more. But people pay a little more to get good
that's
stuff.
That's for 3 or 4 more hours.
Right.
I think
the point.
That's an extreme.
Yes.
There aren't a lot of people that could afford the Concorde. But, you can come into Cava today and spend $9-10 and get real food.
That's the new That's the new model.
Yes.
Let me give the book a plug. Know What Matters, Lessons from a Lifetime of Transformations. Ron, thanks for joining us.
Take good care, Adam.
If you're in L.A., come say hi, and I'll get you an In-N-Out burger.
Sounds good. One of my favorites. First thing off the plane. Be good.
Good to see you, Ron. Ron Shaich, everybody. Me, Rancho Mirage. That'll be this Saturday. Second show added. First show's sold out, but the second show's there. That's Agua Caliente Casino. Be doing stand-up. Solana Beach coming up January 7th. Couple of shows there at the Belly Up. You can go to adamcarolla.com for all the live shows.
Also, before you do I just want to let everybody know the ACE Awards this week. We're going to release it this Friday. Special Friday episode. So the ACE Awards, the best show of the year.
So enjoy that. Until next time, it's Adam Carolla for Erik Griffin and Ron Shaich and Chris Max Battis saying, Mahala.